Welcome students. In last lecture, I have been explained about the moment of inertia of the body, its analogy with the mass, its physical significance. Also, I am explained the kinetic energy of rotating body, moment of inertia of thin uniform ring, moment of inertia of thin uniform disc, radius of gyration, its physical significance. The radius of gyration depends upon the shape and size, also depends upon the position of axis of rotation of that body. Now, today I am going to explain about the torque, expression for the torque in terms of moment of inertia. To explain this concept, we must consider a rigid body of any shape. Here. First, draw the diagrams like this. This is the rigid body of any shape. This is the axis of rotation. Rotated about this axis with uniform angular acceleration alpha. Consider this body made by the number of particles situated at different distances, and explanations of these diagrams is like this. Consider a rigid body of any shape be rotated about an axis passing through it with uniform angular acceleration alpha. Assume that body consists by n particles of masses m1, m2, m3, dash mn, situated at distances r1, r2, r3, dash rn, respectively from the axis of rotation. As shown in this figure. As the body rotates, all the particles except the particles on this axis perform circular motion with the same angular acceleration alpha, but different linear accelerations. Since the radius are different of different particles. Let A1 be the acceleration of the first particles, A2 be the acceleration of the second particles, dash AN be the accelerations of the nth particles respective particles. Now consider one of the particles. From these particles. Consider a particle of mass m1. Here we consider first particles of mass m1. Its linear acceleration is, we know the relation between linear accelerations and angular accelerations in articles circular motion. That relation is linear acceleration is equal to radius into angular accelerations, and by using that we write the linear acceleration of the first particle is a1 is equal to r1 into alpha. This is the linear accelerations. Therefore, these particles experience the force, and that force F1 is equal to m1 into a1, that is equal to m1 into r1 into alpha. Therefore, torque experienced by it is to perform circular motions, it experiences the torque, and that torque τ1 is equal to r1 into f1, that is equal to r1 into m1 into r1 into alpha, that is equal to m1 into r1 square into alpha. This is the expression for the torque experienced by the first particles. Similarly, for other particles, experiences the torques are τ2 is equal to m2 r2 square alpha, τ3 is equal to m3 r3 square alpha, so on. Torque experienced by the nth particle is mn rn square alpha. All these torques are along the axis, since the torque is a vector quantity. To find the direction of these torques, we use the right hand thumb rule. If the axis is held in our right hand and thumb is outstretched, if the curved fingers denote the sense of rotation or sense of revolutions of the particles, then the outstretched thumb denotes the direction of the torque. Therefore, all these torques are along the same directions, since all the particles revolves in the same sense. Therefore, all these torques are along the axis and in the direction of angular accelerations. So, the total torque experienced by the body, or the total torque acting on this body, is equal to the vector sum of the torques experiences by all the particles. Therefore, torque τ is equal to net torque acting on the body is equal to m1 into r1 square alpha. This is the torque acting on the first particle plus torque acting on the second particles m2 r2 square alpha, plus so on, plus torque acting on the nth particle, that is mn rn square alpha. Now, alpha are common in all the terms. Therefore, alpha taken common out, and we get the expression for the torque τ is equal to m1 r1 in bracket m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus so on, plus mn rn square outside the bracket alpha, but the bracket m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus that dash plus mn rn square, that is the summation of the product of mass and square of distance of that particles from the axis of rotation. This sum is called as the moment of inertia. Therefore, instead of this bracket, we write I, that is the moment of inertia of the body. Therefore, the expression for the torque τ is equal to I into alpha. This is the expression for the torque. The relation torque τ is equal to I alpha is analogous to force is equal to mass into acceleration. Force produces linear motion or translational motion. If we replace this I by m, we get the expression for the force. Force is equal to mass into accelerations. Thus, I and m are analogous. The physical significance of moment of inertia I is same as that of the mass. Also explained from this relations, the physical significance of the moment of inertia. This is the expression torque τ is equal to I into alpha. This is the expression for the torque. Now, the next point I have been to explain you today, that is the angular momentum. That is the angular momentum. Angular momentum means moment of linear momentum. Angular momentum means moment of linear moment. Like the torque is nothing but the moment of force. If we apply the force, and due to that force, if the body can be rotated, then the ability of rotation that is measured by the torque, hence torque is called the moment of force. In similar way, if we apply the force to the body, and due to that the body displaced some angular displacement, at that time linear velocity will be given to that body, and due to that the momentum will be occurs here. Therefore, if we apply the force from these diagrams, I can explain the angular momentum. Angular momentum, if angular momentum is nothing but the moment of linear momentum, it is a vector quantity. Its magnitude is the product of linear momentum and perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation, that is L is equal to Rp into sine theta, where theta is the small angle between the direction of vector R and vector P. Vector P is nothing but the linear momentum. I can explain these equations from these diagrams. If we applied the force along these directions, and due to that there will be given a momentum to this body. If the body have the mass m, if the body have the mass m, and if we apply the force, due to that the body can be moved, and therefore the momentum of this body is m into v. But if this body is fixed to this point, at that time the body gets rotated. Body gets rotated like this. Therefore, here we produce the rotational motions, rotational motions. Here, the direction of momentum is along these directions. This is the position vector, vector r. This is the small angle between them, and this is the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. So, the product of linear momentum and perpendicular distance, this product is called the angular momentum, and the direction of angular momentum is like this. By using the right hand thumb rule, the direction is towards you, towards like this. This is the expression for the torque, and in vector forms, vector L is equal to vector R cross vector P. Its SI unit is kilogram meter square per second, and its CGS unit is gram centimeter square per second. Since here the momentum has the mass into velocity, that is kilogram meter per second, and here distance, this is the distance, therefore here meter, hence kilogram meter square per second. This is the SI unit. CGS unit is gram centimeter square per second, and its dimension is L raised to meter square, hence L raised to 2, mass raised to 1, kilogram 1 hai, second raised to minus 1, therefore T raised to minus 1. This is the dimension of this angular momentum. Now, to find out the expression for angular momentum, here the expression for the angular momentum, to explain these concepts, we must draw the diagrams of the rigid body of any shape. This is the axis of rotation, and this body is moves or performs rotational motions with uniform angular velocity omega about this axis of rotation. Like, and explanations from these diagrams is: consider a rigid body of any shape be rotated about the axis of rotation, passing through it with uniform angular velocity omega. Assume that body consists by n particles of masses m1, m2, dash mn, situated at distances r1, r2, r3 dash 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 rn respectively from the axis of rotation. As the body rotates, all the particles except the particles on the axis performs uniform circular motion with the same angular velocity omega, but different linear velocities, since the radius are different for the different particles. So the linear velocities are different. Let v1 be the velocity of the first particles, v2 be the velocity of the second particles, v3 be the velocity of third particles, and vn be the velocity of the nth particles. That velocities are always perpendicular to the radius of the circular motion, tangential velocity in circular motion. Now, to find the expression for angular momentum, for that purpose, we must consider first particles which have the mass m1, and velocity is v1. We know the relation between the linear velocity and angular velocity. V is equal to r into omega. We have already studied in the circular motion, and from that relations, the linear velocity of the first particle is v1 is equal to r1 into omega. Therefore, its linear momentum is p1 is equal to mass of the first particle into velocity of the first particles, linear velocity of the first particles, that is m1 into v1. Therefore, that is equal to m1 into r1 into omega. This is the linear momentum of the first particle. Therefore, its angular momentum is L1 is equal to R1 into P1, and that is equal to R1 into M1, that is equal to R1 into M1 into R1 into omega, that is equal to M1 into R1 square omega. Similarly, for other particles, their respective angular momentum are L2 is equal to M2 R2 square omega, L3 is equal to M3 R3 square omega, so on. Ln is equal to Mn Rn square into omega. All these angular momentums are along the axis in the same directions, in the directions of angular velocity directions along this axis in such a way that by using right hand thumb rule, and all these angular momentum have the same directions. Therefore, the total angular momentum of the rotating body about the given axis of rotation is the vector sum of the angular momentum of all the particles, and therefore L is equal to m1 into r1 square omega plus m2 r2 square omega plus so on plus mn rn square omega. Now omega is common in all these terms. Therefore, angular momentum of the rigid body L is equal to in bracket m1 square m1 into r1 square plus m2 into r2 square plus dash 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 plus mn into rn square, and outside the bracket omega, which is taken common off. But this bracket indicates the moment of inertia. Therefore, instead of this bracket, that is m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus dash 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 mn rn square, we write the moment of inertia of the body, and therefore the angular momentum L is equal to I into omega. Thus, angular momentum is analogous with the translational or linear momentum. Translational linear momentum, if replace I by m, here the linear momentum for first particle P1 is equal to M1 into V1. Instead of we consider the body, at the time linear momentum P is equal to mass of the body into velocity of the body. Therefore, these expressions of the angular momentum and expression for linear momentum are analogous to each others by when we replace the I by M. Here I is the moment of inertia, mass represent the inertia in translational motion, therefore I is also represent the inertia in rotational motion. This is the physical significance of moment of inertia. This is the physical significance of moment of inertia. That means physical significance also can be explained by using this expression. Now, in 11th standard, we studied the conservation of linear momentum. We study the conservation of linear momentum. In 11th standard, we consider if there is no external unbalanced force acting on the system, then the linear momentum of that system is always conserved. That is, if summation of force, that is the net force, is equal to 0, then the linear momentum P is equal to m into v, that is always constant. In 11th standard, we studied that the two balls are moves along the same directions with the different velocities. If the velocity of the back particles is larger than the first particles, then that particles collides with the particles which is collides, and during that collisions there is no unbalanced force acting on that system. At that time, momentum after collisions is always equal to the momentum before collisions. We have already seen that law of conservation of linear momentum. Similarly, here the angular momentum is also conserved. Angular momentum is also conserved. I can explain it from this video. See this video. Here, this man is sitting on the turntable, and in his arm, two hammers are taken. He gives the rotations about its own axis. Arms outstretched. At that time, see the angular speed, and when his arms can be folded, at that time, see its angular velocity also. See this. See the angular velocity of this man. Here we observe that as the arms folded, angular velocity increases, and as the arm outstretched, his angular velocity decreases. It will be happens. From this, we conclude that the angular momentum is always conserved. Then means the product of moment of inertia. As his arm outstretched, moment of inertia decreases. Sorry, moment as his arms are outstretched, moment of inertia increases, and at the same moment, angular velocity decreases. As the arms get folded, moment of inertia decreases, angular velocity increases. That means the product of moment of inertia and angular velocity remains constant. That is the conservation of angular momentum. This can be seen practically, but theoretical proof of this is given here. Theoretical proof is given here. We know that the expression for angular momentum in vector form is vector L is equal to vector R cross vector P. If there is no net external unbalanced torque acting on the body, then the angular momentum of the body is remains constant or conserved. That man cannot use the external unbalanced torques. Initially, that can be rotated with uniform angular velocity, with uniform angular. But when he stretched the arm, angular velocity decreases, and when he folded his arm, at that time angular velocity increases. That is, the angular momentum is conserved. That can be seen and that can be explained theoretically like this. We know that the expression for the angular momentum vector L is equal to vector R cross vector P. Now differentiate it with the time, we get derivative of angular momentum with respect to time, that is equal to derivative of vector r cross vector p with respect to time, and that is equal to vector r cross derivative of momentum with respect to time plus derivative of position vector with respect to time cross momentum, linear momentum, and that is equal to vector r cross derivative of linear momentum, that is the rate of change of linear momentum, that is called the force, according to Newton's second law, and plus linear momentum is the product of mass and linear velocity, and the rate of change of position vector, that is called the linear velocity. Linear velocity, m is taken common since it is scalar quantity, therefore m into bracket vector v cross vector v, and we know that the vector product of the vector with itself is always equal to 0. That means vector v cross vector v is equal to 0. Therefore, the rate of change of angular momentum is equal to r cross f. But r cross f is nothing but, that is the position vector cross vector f, that is called the torque. Therefore, the rate of change of angular momentum with respect to time is the torque. But if there is no external unbalanced torque acting on the system, that means when the torque tau is equal to 0, then the derivative of angular momentum with respect to time is also equal to 0. And that means the angular momentum is constant. If the angular momentum is constant, then derivative is equal to 0. Therefore, we write angular momentum is constant. Thus, angular momentum is conserved in the absence of external unbalanced torque. This is the law of conservation of momentum. Angular momentum. This is the law of conservation of angular momentum. Remember. Now, I can explain with some examples. The angular momentum is always conserved. I can explain with some examples. Show these videos. This is skaters jumps with ballet dancers. These are ballet dancers. Can be rotated about its own axis. When the arm and legs are outstretched, moment of inertia increases and angular velocity can be decreases. See again. As the momentum increases, angular velocity decreases. Moment of inertia increases by outstretch the arm and legs from the axis of rotations, and due to that the angular velocity is decreases. That means product I and omega is remains constant. See again. Here the arm and legs are close to the axis of rotation, so the moment of inertia decreases and the angular speed increases. Angular speed increases. Moment of inertia decreases, angular velocity increases. During the ice ballet, the dancers have to undertake rounds of smaller and larger radia. The dancers come together while taking the rounds of smaller radia. In this case, the moment of inertia of their system becomes minimum and the frequency increases to make it thrilling. Speed increases. As the moment of inertia decreases, the angular speed is increases. The dancers outstretch their legs and arms. This increases their moment of inertia that reduces the angular speed and hence the linear speed. This is the essential to prevent slipping. This is the one of the example of the law of conservation of angular moment. Another examples I can explain here, that is the diving in a swimming pool. See the video. Sorry. Before diving, the divers outstretched his arms and legs, and after jump, he folded his arms and legs, so its angular speed, so their angular speeds increases. See this in next jump. This is the examples. These are the examples to explain the law of conservation of angular momentum. Also, the cricketer or bowlers thrown a balls. For that purpose, he gives the large radii initially, like this. The ball is taken in hands like this, and he rotates his arm and then thrown the balls. At that time, the balls can be spins about its own axis with the larger angular speed since its radii is small. These are the examples of the law of conservation of angular momentum. Now, the next point I have been to explain that is the rolling motion. That is the rolling motion. Rolling motion, we have already studied about the rotational motion, translation motions, and now another motion is the rolling motion. See this video, the difference between rotational motion, translational motions, and rolling motion. Yeah. This is rotational motions. This is the translational motion. This is the rolling motion. This is the rolling motion. Translational and rotational motions combines. That is the rolling motion. The wheels can be rolls over the road surface. This is the rolling motion. When a body is rolling in rolling motion, then it performs two types of the motions. One is rotational motion of the body about its own symmetric axis, and translation motion of the body, translation motion of the center of mass of that body, center of mass of that body. These are the two motions when the body performs rolling motion. Thus, the kinetic energy of rolling motion, thus the kinetic energy of rolling motions or rolling body is equal to the sum of the kinetic energy in translational motion and kinetic energy in rotational motion. That is, the kinetic energy of rolling motion is equal to kinetic energy in translational motion plus kinetic energy in rotation. Consider a rigid body of mass m, radius r, moment of inertia I is rolling on the surface with uniform linear speed, and angular velocity omega, then its total kinetic energy is kinetic energy of rolling motion is equal to kinetic energy of translation motion, that is half mv square plus half into I omega square, but omega is equal to V upon R. Substitute that in these equations, we get kinetic energy of rolling body is equal to half mv square plus half I into V upon R, that is V square upon R square. I is the moment of inertia, that is mk square, where k is the radius of gyration. Therefore, the expression for the kinetic energy of rolling body is equal to half mv square plus half mk square into v square upon r square. Half is taken common, mass is also taken common, v square is also taken common from these two terms. That means half mv square into bracket 1 plus k square upon r square. This is the expression for the kinetic energy of the rolling body. This is the expression for kinetic energy of rolling body. If the moment of inertia of the body about its own axis is I is equal to n times mr square, that is equal to mk square in terms of radius of gyration. Therefore, n is equal to k square upon r square. N is equal to k square upon r square. Right here in this equation, k square upon r square as n, we get the expression for kinetic energy of translation motion is equal to half mv square. Kinetic energy of rotational motions is equal to half I omega square. I is mk square. Omega square is the v square upon r square. Therefore, here k square, instead of k square upon r square, we write as n. Therefore, kinetic energy of rotational motions is equal to half mv square times n. N times half mv square. And kinetic energy of rolling motion is equal to half mv square into bracket 1 plus k square upon r square, that is equal to half mv square into bracket 1 plus n. If we take the ratio kinetic energy of translational motion to the kinetic energy of rotational motions, half mv square get cancelled, that is 1 upon n. Therefore, the relation between kinetic energy of translational motion and kinetic energy of rotational motion is 1:n. 1:n. If we take the ratio of kinetic energy of translation motion and kinetic energy of rolling motion, half mv square get cancelled. Therefore, the relation between translational motion and rolling motion is 1:1 plus n. Therefore, the relation between kinetic energy in translation motion, kinetic energy of rotational motion, and kinetic energy of rolling motion is equal to 1:n/1 plus n. This is the relation between translational kinetic energy, rotational kinetic energy, and kinetic energy of rolling body. The moment of inertia, different bodies are always in terms of n times mr square. Like the moment of inertia is of ring about its own axis is mr square, that is 1 times mr square. Moment of inertia of thin uniform disk is half mr square. That means here n is half. In that case, n is half. That means moment of inertia can be written always in terms of n times mr square, where n is any numbers, that is rational numbers or natural numbers. This is the expression for the kinetic energy of rolling body or rolling motion. We see the translational kinetic energy, rotational kinetic energy, and rolling kinetic energy. Here we also studied the relation between the translational kinetic energy, rotational kinetic energy, and rolling kinetic energy. Now another part, articles. We have to learn here the expression for linear speed and linear acceleration of a body rolling down on an inclined plane. Here, this is the horizontal surface, this is the inclined surface, angle of inclination is theta, the height of inclination is x is equal to sine theta, where s is the distance traveled by this body during the rolling motions without slipping. Only the rolling motions is here. For explanation of the diagrams, right here, consider a rigid body of mass m, radius r, be rolling down on an inclined plane of angle of inclination theta without slipping. As the body starts rolling down from a height h, its gravitational potential energy. Here initially the body is raised, and when it starts rolling down on an inclined plane, at that time its gravitational potential energy converts into kinetic energy of rolling body. Kinetic energy converts into kinetic energy when it reaches at the horizontal position. At height h, the potential energy is equal to m into gh. This is the potential energy. Let v be the linear velocity or linear speed attained by the center of mass of this body when it reaches the horizontal level. If final velocity attained by this body is V at this horizontal position, then the kinetic energy of rolling body is equal to half mv square plus half I omega square, that is equal to half mv square plus half mk square v square upon r square plus half mv square into bracket 1 plus k square upon r square. This is the relations of the kinetic energy of rolling body. We have already studied in earlier slides. Now, as the body rolls down from height h to the ground level or horizontal levels, at that time potential energy is completely converts into kinetic energy. Therefore, potential energy is equal to kinetic energy. This is according to the law of conservation of energy. mgh is equal to half mv square into bracket 1 plus k square upon r square. Get cancel. Therefore, v square is equal to 2 times gh upon 1 plus k square upon r square. Taking square root on both sides, we get v is equal to square root of 2 times gh plus 2 times gh upon 1 plus k square upon r square. This is the expression for the velocity attained by the rolling body when it reaches at the horizontal level from the height h. From height h, rolling down on an inclined plane. But h is equal to s sine theta. H is equal to s sine theta, where s is the displacement traveled during the rolling motion. During the rolling motion, displacement or distance traveled by the body during the rolling motion. Therefore, the expression for the velocity in terms of displacement and angle of inclinations is square root of 2 times gs sine theta upon 1 plus k square upon r square. This is the expression for the velocity when the body is rolling down on an inclined plane. Similarly, we can find out the expression for the acceleration, linear acceleration. And for that purpose, we used third kinematic equations, that is v square is equal to u square plus 2 times as. And from these equations, 2 times as is equal to v square minus u square. V square minus u square. Initial velocity u is 0. U is 0. Initial velocity becomes 0. Therefore, here 2 times as is equal to, the expression for v square is equal to 2 times gh upon 1 plus k square upon r square, or instead of h we write s sine theta. Therefore, this expression becomes 2 times gs sine theta upon 1 plus k square upon r square minus 0 since u is 0. And that is equal to 2 times as is equal to 2 times gs sine theta upon 1 plus k square upon r square. S get cancelled. 2 get cancelled. Therefore, the expression for the acceleration of the particles when it is rolling down on an inclined plane is A is equal to g into sine theta upon 1 plus k square upon r square. This is the expression for the acceleration of the particles when it's rolling down on an inclined plane without slipping. Without slipping. Without slip. If if the body slides over inclined plane without rolling motion, slippery, slipping, and without friction, if there is no friction, if there is no frictions, and if there is no rolling motion, if there is no rolling motions, at that time kinetic energy is equal to only half mv square. That means k square upon r square terms is 0. That is neglected. 0. Therefore, from this v square, get cancelled. Therefore, v square is equal to 2 times gh, and therefore v is equal to square root of 2 times gh. For pure sliding motion, without rolling and without friction, the expression for linear speed is v is equal to 2 square root of 2 times gh. And substitute this value here in this equation, that is only 2 times gh, 2 times gh instead of this, that is 2 times gh, and therefore the expression for linear acceleration is g into sine theta k square upon r square is 0. Therefore, this acceleration becomes g sine theta only. That means when the body is only sliding over the inclined plane, at that time the expression for velocity v is equal to square root of 2 times gh, and acceleration is equal to square g into sine theta. These are the expressions when the body is only sliding, and these are the expressions. This is the expression for the velocity when the body is rolling without sliding. This is the expression for accelerations of rolling bodies over an inclined plane without sliding. Remember this thing. This is the difference. Thank you for watching here. If we like this video, subscribe to my channel RD Patil. Press the bell icon buttons after subscribes and give the comment in the comment box. Thanks again for watching my video. Thank you.